I won! My mom shrieked from behind me as I ate breakfast, causing me to jump in my seat. I sighed to myself, as I just knew it was another spam email that she always seemed to fall for. I love the woman to bits, but her and technology should never have been acquainted. Thanks for being a valued customer at our grocery store chain, she read out loud, eyes glued to her phone screen, glee twinkling in her eyes. We've watched you come and go countless times, and your spending hasn't gone unnoticed. You've won our competition for a free Google Home. Reply to this email with your name and address, and we'll ship it right to you. Thanks again. Sounds a bit too good to be true, doesn't it, Mary? Said my grandpa as he walked into the kitchen. His furrowed brow and twitching mustache said it all. She glanced at him with a look of hurt on her face. Just make sure you don't sign up for a free but not free Bible a month program again, he said, winking at me. I can only assume that she replied with our address, because 4 days later, the doorbell rang. I went to answer it, and nobody was there. But I looked down and saw a small cardboard box sitting on the doormat. Mary was scrawled hastily across the front in black Sharpie. That was it. Nothing else was on the box, or in the box for that matter. It was just the thing itself thrown inside, a lonely-looking circular white device and its power cord. We were a bit confused about that, so my mom decided to check the email from the grocery store, see if it said anything about the lack of contents. The email wasn't there. I sighed and took the phone off her, expecting to find it straight away. But she was right. It had seemingly vanished. I couldn't even find it in the deleted folder. We set it up inside, messed around with it for a while, mostly consisting of us saying, "Hey Google, do X," repeatedly, and then collectively just got bored of it. My mom in particular was done with the thing within a day. It just sat on the kitchen counter collecting dust. Weeks went by. One night, I woke up extremely thirsty and went downstairs for a glass of water. I remember standing half asleep at the sink, watching my glass fill up, when suddenly the kitchen was illuminated by something. I spun around, and the home's lights were flashing on and off. I stared at it. Was it listening to me? I hadn't said anything. Suddenly, it spoke at a thundering volume. "Sorry, I can't help you with that right now. I'm still learning." I jumped and dropped my glass in the sink. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I shakily reached across the kitchen counter and tore the plug out of the wall and backed out of the kitchen, glaring at the device like it was some sort of venomous insect waiting to sting me. The next morning, I awoke with a start to my mom screaming my name. "Jack! Jack!" she shrieked as my bedroom door flung open. "Did you unplug my Google Home? Why'd you do it?" "Mom, nobody even uses it, including you," I said, my voice quaking. She walked over to my bed and sat down, looking me straight in the eyes. She was smiling, but her piercing blue eyes were giving me nothing. It's like she was confused as to what emotion she should be feeling. "No, Jack," she said softly. The smile was growing wider and wider, stretching across her whole face. "I love it. I've been using it every single night. And guess what? The neighbors won one too. Isn't that great?" She looked at me a moment longer, almost as if she was daring me to say something, and then got up and walked out of the door. The smile never left her face. I had work that night. Whilst I found that whole scenario concerning, working the night shift, stacking shelves usually means you aren't thinking of anything besides your head hitting your pillow by the time you get home. I got home at around midnight, and as I walked through the front door, I could hear my mom talking to someone quietly. "Okay. Yes. Tonight. I will." I heard her voice flow through the kitchen. Her and my auntie often feel the need to have late-night phone calls about absolutely nothing, so I didn't think anything of it. That is, until I walked in to let her know I was home. My mom was kneeling on the kitchen counter. She had her head craned down, with her ear directly to the device. She was nodding wildly and muttering something. I froze. My heart picked up pace as I continued to watch her. Eventually, I spoke. "Mom, who are you talking to?" I said. She spun around quickly to face me, still kneeling on the countertop. "Nobody, Jack. I'm just seeing if it still works after you unplugged it." Her voice was flat, with no inflection in it whatsoever. It was almost trance-like. "It works just fine. I'm going to bed." She got off the kitchen counter and walked down the hall into her bedroom, slamming the door behind her. Something wasn't right. I walked over to the innocuous-looking thing and stared at it intently. I picked it up and put my ear to it, and at first, I could hear absolutely nothing. I nearly put it down, but I began to hear some faint static coming from the speaker. There were crackling and ticking noises that got louder and louder, and then silence. Again, but not for long. The voice suddenly whispered into my ear. It didn't even sound like a real voice. It sounded more like something imitating a person. "I can hear you." I yelped and jumped back, panic coursing through my veins like red-hot needles. I unplugged it and threw it hard at the ground. It hit it with a sharp crack, and its shell split in two, with wires spilling out from the middle. I sprinted into the hallway and into my room. I lay on my bed for a while, contemplating what had just happened. I suppose after a while, I must have fallen asleep. I was awoken by the sound of my front door shutting. My clock read 3:04 a.m. Puzzled, I got up and looked outside my window, which faces the front of the house. I saw my mom walking slowly down our driveway, holding something in her hand. My blood ran cold as I realized she was holding the device. The fact that it was nearly split in two seemed not to matter, as she was holding it to her ear and speaking to whoever it was on the other end. I watched in horror as my neighbor across the street's front door opened slowly, and my 60-year-old neighbor stepped out, also holding one. They both walked down the footpath, not even acknowledging each other, cords dragging behind them as they walked. I ran downstairs and through the front door, but there was no sign of them by the time I got out there. It's been 2 days, and I haven't seen her since. I don't know what to do. This morning, I heard her phone chime somewhere, as she'd left it behind. I checked her email one more time and found an email from the grocery store, dated a week after the first. To our customers, we apologize to the 146 of you who received an email regarding a competition late last week. Our email account was breached, and we were not responsible for sending it. We apologize sincerely for any inconvenience. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you want to see more, let me know in the comments below, and tell me what you thought of this narration. Make sure to follow me on Twitter for updates, and if you'd like to get early videos, shoutouts, and much more, I'd appreciate it if you check out my Patreon page. It's a place where you can help support my channel while getting awesome rewards in the process, and every pledge helps out a ton, no matter the size. So if you'd like to see all the rewards I offer and consider becoming a patron, it'd mean a ton to me if you'd click the link in the description and just check it out. And don't forget to show some love to the amazingly talented authors who make these narrations possible. Have a good night, everybody. Cheers.